All right, it's herd hierarchy time on a Tuesday. Here we go.
Herd hierarchy.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin. Number 10.
Listen, the Commanders reality struck. Jaden Daniels, 50% completion percentage, only 242 yards. They were the second best team on the field. Even getting a botched fake punt, they couldn't win. But I think between coaching and Jaden Daniels, they will somehow sneak into the playoffs, may not win. I thought this weekend was sort of a reality check on what they are. A little too young at quarterback, but they are the number 3 scoring offense. But now they've lost to the Steelers and the Ravens and Tampa when they were healthy. They're about the 10th best team in the league.
Number 9.
Arizona Cardinals. I've never trusted them. I sort of kind of do now. They scored on 5 straight drives to open the game against the Jets. 4 of them, 70-plus yards. They're patient offensively, and they've really figured out the defense. They stopped the Chargers' offense when they came to town. He completed 17 straight passes at one point. I've been saying all year, I love their weapons. Do I trust the franchise? Upstairs, ownership, not really. But I will say in terms of offensive talent, receiver, tight end, back, tackle, quarterback, they're really, really good. Really, really good. That win over the Niners in Santa Clara was not a fluke.
Number 8.
The Niners, because Christian McCaffrey's back by an inch over Arizona. 5 different players had 50-plus receiving yards, and that's without Brandon Ayuk the rest of the year. So they're sprinkling it around. Ricky Pearsall's making an impact here. Debo, the jet sweeps don't work as well, but they've got some nice target. George Kittle, by the way, like old Gronk. Kelsey, you think he's gone? No, he's not. They're 4-0 when Brock Purdy doesn't turn it over, meaning the margins have gotten very thin for them. Kansas City doesn't have to play perfect to win. San Francisco kind of does. They got lucky this weekend.
Number 7.
The Steelers. I was wrong. I admit it. I thought this organization was tone deaf to offense. They are a great second-half team. They are on a 4-game winning streak. Russell Wilson has brought the deep ball back. They don't make mistakes. It's like the Seahawks light. Tough at home, physical, defensive culture, nice run game, quarterback that moves, and over the top now, they can burn you if you don't play them honest. I was wrong. Number 2 scoring defense. I think this team's a playoff team. I missed on them. Steelers at 7.
Number 6.
A team that reminds me of a lesser version of the Chiefs. The Chargers. Great coach, great quarterback, good enough offensive line, little light on weapons, excellent defense. Are they as good situationally as the Chiefs? Nobody in the world is. But they have had 5+ sacks in 3 straight games. It is remarkable. This was the worst defense in the league last year. Same players. They bring in Jesse Minter and a new head coach. They've had talent. They've had talent for years. Finally, Herbert has help.
Number 5.
I'll give it to the Eagles. They're 5-0 since the bye. 3 straight road wins by 20-plus points. I think they have the best roster in the league. Better than Detroit. Because I think 3 of their best young players defensively are all kids. They're all, Mitchell, the cornerback from Toledo, Jalen Carter, Dean from Georgia. This team is stacked. This roster has great players that are older, great players in their prime, Philadelphia, and great young players. I don't think there's any roster as good as Philadelphia. They're 6-0 when A.J. Brown plays. Philadelphia Eagles at number 5.
Number 4.
The Ravens. Here's what I love about their story. Remember the Lamar can't pass in the pocket. Wrong. Lamar can't play from behind. Yeah, they have 3 wins this year, trailing by 10-plus points. Their issue is they are so bad in the secondary that they can outplay you. Remember, the Raiders came from behind to beat them. This team is so bad on the back end, you don't have to be great everywhere in the NFL. You can't be terrible anywhere. You saw last night the Rams corners. They have to draft one in the first, second, third round. First, third, they don't have a second-round pick. But Baltimore, I love the growth of Lamar. I love them offensively. But that back end is an issue. I have them at 4.
Number 3.
The Lions by an inch, 7-game winning streak. Jared Goff is having the season for all seasons. Actually, I don't love or trust their defense, but on third down, their defense is excellent, only allowing a 31% conversion rate. They played poorly and won on the road on Sunday Night Football. I think I respect them now more than ever, but I don't necessarily trust them situationally as much as I do a Kansas City team.
Number 2.
The Bills. Now, they're all banged up at wide receiver. I think Kansas City's going to beat them this weekend, but they lead the NFL in plus 13 turnover differential. That's come back. When healthy, I like their receiving core. Don't love it, but I like it. Now, Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid may not play for Kansas City. That spells trouble. But I think this is the best version of Buffalo. Doesn't mean they're going to beat the Chiefs, but it's the best version of it. Not as much reckless, more balance offensively, still well coached defensively.
Number 1.
15-game winning streak dating back to last season. I think it's the best third down offense. It's the best situational team since the Brady-Belichick Bucks. I think they're actually a little better at wide receiver than anybody wants to admit. D-Hop, Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt can catch out of the backfield. Isaiah Pacheco's coming back. So I think the offense, if they had Rashee Rice right now, they wouldn't have D-Hop, and I think they'd be fine. They're a little better at receiver than last year and the year before. I don't think it's an emergency, but I also think all those young defensive players now are a bit older and wiser. I think it's the best team in the league. Their defense has not allowed a single point when trailing in the fourth quarter of this season. So when you're great, sometimes it's hard to stay focused, but when you need their defense to be great, and when you need them to block a kick, and when you need a goal line stand, they are off the charts. There is our herd hierarchy. Green Bay, I have at 11. Didn't watch them play. Moved them back. I like what I saw with the Commanders. And with that, Nick Wright, now co-host First Things First, joins us live. All right, I always say, peruse that top 10. Anything that stands out to you?
Top of the tiers, spot on. I like the 1, 2, 3, 4 exactly. I have some concerns about the Ravens we can get into later. The Eagles have really impressed me, and the Chargers, they don't have any great wins, but you can see what they're building. Here's my only beef. I think the Vikings and the Packers are better than San Francisco. I'm not sure why I'm supposed to believe San Francisco is anything close to what it was last season or the season before.
Fair.
And I know this isn't the point of the tiers, but Colin, if you look at what the Cardinals have left and what the Niners have left, I'm starting to think, I was with the Rams, but the loss last night was so devastating, they might be in too big of a hole. I think the Cardinals might be incredibly well positioned to win that division. And I'll call the shot right now. Week 18, Sunday Night Football, final game of the NFL season, I think is going to be Niners-Cardinals with the NFC West on the line, where the winner wins the division and the loser misses the playoffs entirely. And I think the Niners could be on the outside looking in. I was not impressed by what they did this past weekend, and I don't think the defense is going to be able to overcome some of the offensive injuries.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think part of me is it's confirmation bias. I want them to be good. Yeah. I've loved them for years.
They're supposed to be good.
That's right.
They got a great coach. Purdy played well this week. Like, my lack of impressiveness this week's not about Purdy. The throw to Kittle was great. I don't love the Debo thing. Like, I am not of the belief that, always keep your hands to yourself. Never, but like different workplaces at different standards. People are like, oh my God, can you imagine if you did this at Kinko's? They don't work at Kinko's. They work in the NFL. But the problem to me with the Debo thing is the imbalance of power. If you're going to hit somebody at work, they've got to be allowed to hit you back. Like, if you punch J-Max, so be it. He can punch you back. Yeah. If you punch an intern, it's a problem because the intern's not allowed to hit you back. Yeah. You can't fight the kicker and long snapper when you're one of the highest paid guys on the team because they're not allowed to hit you back. So I thought that was kind of a bad vibe sign. I didn't like that either.
Yeah. I've never done that to an intern and never considered it, but thanks for planning it.
No, you've thought about hitting J-Mac, though, but he's got that gun show ready. He'd piece you right back, so it'd be fair.
Yeah, so I was saying this. Sometimes it's fun to be really wrong. And I said for 4 years, I love Mike Tomlin, but they're tone-deaf offense. Suddenly, to his credit, This is the advantage of having an experienced Super Bowl winning coach with a big salary. He benched Justin Fields with a winning record and said, it's just a gut instinct. Can't do that if you're a rookie head coach. You get a lot of heat. He's like, guys, this is why I'm well compensated. And I'm wrong. And I think we both are to some degree. Russell, I said this yesterday.
Has played well.
Everybody's clinging to Aaron still got it because he's cool. He doesn't. Everybody pushed Russell out the door because he's not cool. And I'm watching him. Nick, he's got the deep ball back. Right. I'm sorry, but...
that moon ball's back.
It is.
He's not taking as many sacks.
No.
They're playing from a script they're comfortable with. If they hadn't, attempted to execute one of the most asinine fake punts I've ever seen in a game they were totally controlling, I think they could have blown out Washington, and Washington's a good team. So, I thought Russell Wilson was totally cooked. And he's now playing, I think, better than he played, obviously, in Denver, but either year. But I think arguably better than he played his final year in Seattle. And that is shocking to me. Now, the only trepidation I have with Pittsburgh is I know America knows they have a tough remaining schedule. I don't know if they understand what it actually is. They have 8 games left. It is all 6 divisional games, and the 2 other games are the Eagles and the Chiefs. So that is as absolutely murderous of a final 8. And I know the Browns are no good and the Bengals have struggled, but AFC North divisional games are always tough. Steelers-Browns games are tough, and the Bengals' offense is going to be a lot to deal with. But because of that, it was incumbent upon them to get out to this awesome start, and they did it. And so, the Russell Wilson, George Pickens combo, that has been unlocked. Pickens, who's, kind of a bit of a personality issue at times, was not happy with Fields. He's been happier with Russ. And you've got to give them credit. And if they can split with Baltimore, which I would expect them to do, then you've got to say they're the favorite to win that division, even with that brutal schedule.
So I'm going to throw this at you with Caleb Williams. Because they butchered Justin Fields and Mitch Trubisky, they didn't work. And I'm not blaming all on the staff. That Caleb Williams, because he was a higher prospect, has to work. So there is no argument here. It doesn't matter if he's struggling. That it does matter also that Bo Nix and Jaden Daniel look terrific. And that there's so many things working here. Matt Hasselbeck said yesterday, most of these sacks are on Caleb. Whether they are or not, I'm not an NFL quarterback or former one. Is there a singular thing that I heard this yesterday from somebody I trust, Nick, in the league? He said, Colin, there's stuff here that I'm not sure is correctable. Is there any part of you that thinks the coach is irrelevant, he'll just never be Jaden Daniels, and he's just not a star?
I'm not. So that, I think, is I'm shocked at the whiplash some have had on their Caleb Williams opinion. Listen, if you didn't love him coming out of college, if you were like, hey, he's overrated as a prospect, it won't translate, and what you're seeing right now, you're like, I told you so be it, bully for you. But if you are in the generic you, I'm talking, in the vast majority of people who all agreed he was the number 1 player in this draft, the number 1 quarterback. And after 9 games, 3 of which he was excellent in the middle, you're like, I've changed my opinion. Then with respect, I don't value your draft opinions ever again moving forward. What is the point of watching college football, scouting these players, if half a season of football, you're like, nope, I've changed my mind. Now, are there some concerning signs? Sure. But I'm going to tell you, everyone's pointing to the sacks and the off-target throws and how much is on the all-line, how much is on Caleb. I'm going to give you a stat no one's pointing out that I think is the biggest indicator that the coaching was bad and got in his head. In these last 3 games, which have been the worst 3-game stretch of football he's probably ever played in his life, certainly his worst 3-game stretch in the pros. Do you know how many interceptions he's thrown? 0. He has, PFF has him graded as in these 3 games, 1 big-time throw and 0 turnover-worthy plays. So what does that tell me? The coaches coached the aggressiveness out of him. Peyton Manning, rookie year, what did he throw? 28 picks to go along with it was a bunch of boom, a bunch of bust. He was learning. What is so concerning to me about the last few games is he's refusing to trust what he's seeing. He's refusing to throw the ball down the field. He's refusing to take chances. You've got to take chances. And so that, to me, is why, Caleb needs to play better. He needs to be more accurate. This is clearly, some of this is on him. But I would feel better, Colin, if he had thrown 6 picks the last 3 weeks than 0. 0, when you're struggling and not turning the ball over, when you are not a game manager quarterback, you're an explosive big play quarterback.
Yeah.
That to me means you are being told, take care of the ball, trust the defense, take care of the ball. And now he's playing slow and not believing what he's seeing. So that, I think moving on from Waldron was smart. And I think they're going to have an offensive head coach next year.
So it's interesting. If I said to you, hey, let's go on a guide trip. But one of the guys.
You're paying.
It'd be a poker trip with you. It'd have to be. I go rafting trip, you'd go poker, you'd win. But if I said to you, one of the guys is really moody, holds grudges, and you got to kind of see it his way. You'd be like, that's not a good hang. It's a little bit what you were hearing with Aaron in Green Bay, and Boomer Esiason, popular New York radio guy, had this to say yesterday about Aaron Rodgers.
It's an unmitigated disaster. Aaron Rodgers has completely sucked the air out of the building. He is a first ballot Hall of Fame player, one of the great quarterbacks when he was in his prime that we have ever seen. Since he has come here over the last 2 years, every player on this team, I feel like, has deferred everything to him. Russell Wilson said something about Mike Williams yesterday, and it was being reported during the game that when Mike Williams showed up to Pittsburgh, he showed up with such a big smile, and he was so happy, like he was so unencumbered by playing for the Jets and with Aaron Rodgers.
And I ask you, this was the Green Bay issue. Everybody was walking on eggshells. It is now the New York issue. You're watching Kyler Murray look like a different sport against him. You've watched Bo Nix beat him. You watch Mahomes, Lamar, Herbert. If you're the Jets, is it under consideration? You move off him.
So I don't think it's under consideration. I think it's the only possible option. He will be, after this season, he will be a 41-year-old quarterback that is coming off the 3 worst seasons of his career. Call it 2 if we're not going to count the year he lost the Achilles, fine. The year in Green Bay was terrible, a lost season due to injury, this disaster. He is the worst leader in all of sports. He is only, best I can tell, somewhat interested in football, and only if he can play with his old friends and family. There would be no reason whatsoever to bring him back. And Jet fans think I've been hating on them all year. I've just been impeccably accurate every step of the way all year, which sounds like hating when you're a train wreck team and franchise. But I have some good news. Listen, one of the knock-on effects of last Tuesday's election is Woody Johnson is about to get another cushy post overseas. So the Jets have an opportunity to go from Woody to Christopher Johnson, so you move out, at least temporarily, arguably the worst owner in the league. Move on from Aaron, totally new coaching staff, totally new front office, and say we have Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner, who needs to play better, Garrett Wilson, Quincy Williams to build around, and we're going to draft a quarterback. That's what they need to do. It's the only option that makes sense, and I don't know what team out there would want to sign up for Aaron Rodgers if the Jets move on. And I know we're short on time, but let me throw this at you, Colin. If this is how it ends for Aaron, I'm trying to go through the list of the 10 best quarterbacks in NFL history in my head. None of them saw it end like this. Because for Aaron, it would mean his last 3 years missed the playoffs, lost the season to injury, failed expectations, missed the playoffs, flamed out in spectacular fashion. Think about everyone else. Tom made the playoffs every year in Tampa, won a Super Bowl his third to last year, or his fourth to last year in the league. Peyton wasn't great his final year, but won the Super Bowl, made the playoffs every year. Joe Montana in Kansas City made the playoffs both years, made an AFC championship game second to last year. Favre, his second to last season, the one with the Vikings, almost won MVP, won the NFC championship. Elway back-to-back Super Bowls. Breeze was in the playoffs every year. Hell, Big Ben thought his career was over, did a victory lap. They still made the playoffs. He got in there. Go find the guy who is Aikman and Young were still really good, career shortened, had to quit due to the concussions and injuries. Who is the legendary quarterback who for the final 3 years of his career was in the wilderness? There isn't one. Yeah. I mean, damn, Phillip Rivers made the playoffs with the Colts at the end.
Yep.
There is not a precedent in this league for any of the legends, and I left some of them out, but they all qualify, where the final 3 seasons of their career, they're on bad teams or not playing relevant football. So that's a weird button to the Aaron Rodgers story.
No, I agree.